First time I met my kids, it's a moment that I will never forget. So our family, some are biological and some are adopted. So some we met at the hospital. One actually met on my doorstep.
Yeah, I remember Tucker came to us the day before Thanksgiving, 2015. He was 4 pounds, 10 ounces. He came to our front door, and he was our first foster placement. Elijah, we actually went to the hospital, and I can remember the goal at the time was just fostering. So looking back, to me, it's really interesting because in that moment, you're like complete strangers, and as a mom, I look back at that moment, and that's when I met this person that would become this hugely pivotal part of my life, my child, my world. So, but you don't know that in the moment, but it's kind of seared in our mind, these little bitty babies that they brought to us, and we went and picked up.
So one of our placements, and I don't even like to call them placements, one of our kids, I remember that his story came across our path 3 different times, and we kind of disregarded it the first 2 times. It wasn't in our plan. We were looking for siblings, and we were looking for younger kids, but he was all on his own, and he was older than what we were looking for, that we were comfortable with. And on the 3rd time, I remember being at work and slamming my fist down on the table and saying, okay, God, it's clear that you have him planned for us. So we need to put our yes on the table and say, we're in, we're fully in.
First, I've just always loved kids. That's just my number one thing in life is I love kids and they love me. I used to work in a foster home as an aide when I was in nursing school. And in fact, it was owned by Green Acres. They were the support home for a special needs home at that time. And I just fell in love with the idea of helping to take care of a child who didn't have a home. And then when I had Kai, he's like 13, I'm like, you don't have a sibling. I was like, let me look into foster care again and see if we can find you a sibling. And so I didn't want to just foster, I wanted to foster to adopt. And so I got my name on the list and got my home done, and the rest is history.
It was interesting because we had always told God and even our agency that we were open to sibling groups because we had many rooms available. And we had one child placed with us. We thought, well, we were looking for sibling groups. And that's always where I can picture God sitting in the background saying, is you done planning? Because I have a plan over here. I'm just waiting for you to be on board. And the joke was on us because he's one of 10 siblings. And we got to have his sister join us at one point. And she joined us at 36 weeks pregnant. I got to hold a baby when that baby was 10 minutes old. And we got to co-raise that baby in our home for many years. And so a beautiful part about fostering that you would never picture is even if they are not eligible for adoption or they're not looking for adoption, they are your family forever.
What God has taught me through the foster care journey is just how deep his love he had for us when he sent his son Jesus. That was the ultimate sacrifice. And I look at that and I'm like, along this foster care journey, I see how great his love is and how great my love can be to give out to others. That I didn't think I had it in me to be able to do that to the extent that I've had to do it through this foster care journey.
Here's my encouragement if you're asking the question, should I be a part of foster care? Should I be a part of adoption? I shared with my staff this week that God calls us to do hard things. And our journey was not easy. It was definitely a hard thing. It was something that God called us to do. And so I just encourage you that if God is calling you, you need to be obedient. And we want to be a church that is listening to God and following him. And I could tell you through our foster to adopt journey, it has been completely worth it. And we just are so thankful for our family unit.
For me, I think my role when God called me to the role I have with the foster placement that I did have, I had to love the whole family because they've been through so much trauma. They only know survival at the moment, and it takes time for them to learn how to actually live in peace. And so you have got to have a heart that can handle that stress but then channel it out as love so that you can help heal a family.
Say yes. Your biggest hurdle is saying yes, but God is faithful, and He will strengthen you, and He will stretch you out. He will strengthen you. He will stretch you out. You'll be amazed at how much will change in that by saying yes. It changes your whole life.
Say yes. Put your yes on the table. We're worth it, and we really need more Christian families. I'm getting adopted today.
Yay!
I can use my story to minister to others to prove that you can do anything and that you're not alone, whether you think you are or not.
So some advice I'd give to a family is to not be afraid. I think that's one thing that really scares the families, that they're scared that they're gonna mess it up, or that the kid might not like their home, or the challenges that they might face. It's gonna be challenged, and that's part of life. Even a normal kid that they might have is gonna be a challenge. But if they really feel like God's calling them to do that, take that leap of faith. One thing I really like to do is going on missions. I enjoy that because of the kids. I can relate to their environment, their struggles, and seeing what they're going through. I can see that and be like, hey, don't worry, I live just like this. And now that God's in my life, it's been completely different. He's changed my world, like, for the better. And I know He can do the same for you. So.
Strengthen my faith because He's opened my eyes and my heart to where I wasn't open to it. But now I cannot picture my life without it. God has shown me continually of how His love is abounding by the way that they love us back, and it'll bring you to tears.
All children, just like me and you, have obstacles they have to overcome. Sometimes that's physical health, sometimes it's emotional health, sometimes it's mental health. And that's our job as parents, And I think about the fact that there's so many children out there who don't have anyone to hold their hand and say, hey, we're gonna work through this, and this is how this is what we're gonna do, and this is how you act. And I think that if God's people aren't willing to step into the gap for children who don't have parents and who are orphaned in this world, then who will?
They say a second is like a million years to God. So if He gives us a couple months with a child, we have to know that there's a chance for permanent change and hope for them.